All right, my couture crafters, today is an experiment day. I also experimented with some other stamps by the Tons, and I'm about to play with a new set by the Ton. You know, they are one of my favorite stamp companies. So my issue is that I want to know what I can do with fabric. How far can I take my fabric? Can I make my own fabric blocks? And I'm sure I can. I've just never played with stamping on fabric before, so let's do it together. I put a sheet of white copy paper behind just to give it a little bit more stability. I wasn't sure if these inks were going to bleed through, so I figured, why not? Plus, it makes the fabric look even more stark white, which lets me know that when I put batting behind my blocks, I should probably use a super white batting. This is some Crafters Color Box ink that's made specifically for fabric. So I wanted to see what was going to happen. Now, one of the things that I don't like about this is the not the applicator, the container that's holding it. It just doesn't fit well in my hands. You guys know I have long nails and my long nails are not going anywhere. So I must figure out how to use things with my long nails. I have ink all over them. I wasn't sure if it was going to come off my nails. The ink did come off of my nails. I didn't have an issue. However, this ink did stain my distress. What am I trying to say today? What's up with me, guys? My platform, my Tim Holtz platform. The red stained it a little bit. Not so bad that I'm beyond annoyed, but I wasn't happy about it, but whatever. It is what it is. So what happens when you stamp on the fabric is it doesn't come up as vibrant as I wanted it to. Because of the grain of the fabric, you can kind of see through it, but it did show up. I mean, it's clearly black shoes on there. One thing that I do like is that when you are lining up these clear stamps and you close your platform, you don't have to worry about the paper coming up. It just stays in the same spot. The fabric does not react with the stamp, so you're not pulling it up, which is super annoying. That's nice. So these are the 3 colors that I grabbed from the Sewing Art Center. I don't know why I chose red, purple, and black, but it's what I had. So if I were doing these stamps for real, I would probably not stamp them in purple right here. This would probably be gray. Although it came out kind of cool, so maybe I would. Who knows? But these are just random colors that I selected. I knew I wanted to try a black, and then I grabbed a red because why not? And I really like the color purple, so these are the 3 that I grabbed. I paid $6.99 a piece for each of these, and I just wanted to see what was going to happen. I think that I want to make a whole quilt with, I've always wanted to do a Dylusions quilt. I've always said I want to do a Dylusions quilt the way that she does her art. I don't know how I'm going to accomplish that, but now that I've started quilting, I feel like I'm getting closer and closer to being able to do that. Some of the issues that I'm running into, though, will be like what size block and designing the quilt and all that kind of stuff, but baby steps. First, let's see if we can stamp on fabric, and it turns out we can. And here I'm using that red that stained a little bit. I do 2 applications on each one. I stamped twice. And this one came out really solid on the shoe that's closest to me, and the one that's furthest to me, it didn't. And I don't know if I should have just kept going and kept layering so that I could have gotten even more solid results. But look, it looks pretty darn good, actually. As we go through, you'll see some other things that I tried just because why not? So this is me putting hand sanitizer down on the platform to see if I can get that red up. Can you see it? It's got kind of like a red ghost print. I might be able to use a cleaner or something to get that off, but if that hand sanitizer didn't take it off, maybe not. So this is me just inspecting it, looking at it. It looks pretty darn good, right? You can tell that it's on fabric, but I shouldn't be expecting perfectly smooth results on fabric. That's just not realistic. So here's another stamp set that I randomly have from, I think these are Stamplistic. And I wanted to see what red rubber would do versus that clear, because I didn't prep. That was the very first time that I opened the Ton stamp set. I didn't prep it. I didn't try very hard. I just was sitting there and thought, let me just try some stuff really quickly. Since this stuff is out, I pressed the fabric, but I didn't pre-wash it. It's just a fat quarter that came from Joann's. And that stamp didn't have enough solid space, so I grabbed a Dylusions glasses and I'm trying this. I wanted to see if there would be a big difference in the imprint that I get with red rubber versus clear. Nope. Not with between these two sets. So this is me using are those Memento pens? What kind of pens are those? Those are those Micron pens that are permanent. And I just wrote color box right there because I figured, well, since I'm kind of doing a test, let's test a couple of different inks. So this next one I use is StazOn. And StazOn is supposed to stay on, so I'm expecting this to stay on. And I was curious to know if some of them were darker than others, and no, not really. And I just stamped these one time since I wasn't using the platform. I didn't try to line these up again and stamp them again. So there are going to be a little bit lighter than the original ones, but I wanted to see if I was going to get any bleed. Now this is a Catherine Pooler ink. Now this should not work. There's nothing that says that this should work. This should absolutely not work. But it turns out you can stamp it on fabric and you'll see it. But once I run this through the washing machine, this should probably just disappear completely. I just did it just to see what would happen. Then I remember somebody saying that you should be able to use alcohol inks on fabric. You should be able to color with your Copics. So here I'm testing a couple different colors. I didn't like that there wasn't enough variation between the two colors. So I grabbed a different stamp from Dylusions. I grabbed my Memento Tuxedo Black, which is also a Copic safe ink. And I stamped it. Then I grabbed a couple of different colors of Copics. Some that were what I thought was a little bit further apart. And I just tried to color it in, see if I could stay between the lines, see if it was going to bleed. I'm just playing right now. I'm just testing just to see what's going to happen. So I grabbed that green and then this green, and they weren't far enough away on the color chart. Matter of fact, it looked the exact same in person. So I had to grab something different. So I grabbed a lighter one. Then I heat set everything with my iron. I pressed it for probably about 1 to 2 minutes. Then I threw it in the washing machine to see what was going to happen. And I threw it in the washing machine on warm with soap, just the way I would wash anything. And let's see what happens. Okay, so I just finished washing and drying this. I did not pre-wash this fabric, so yeah, it is what it is. But look, the color box stayed pretty much the exact same. This is the color box when right here. This is the color box. This is StazOn. This is Catherine Pooler ink. I don't know why. Nobody told me to do this. I didn't think it would work. If I had used their black, it might have worked. I don't know. I just did it. And you can see a shadow there, but it certainly lightened up a bit. This here was stamped with Memento Tuxedo Black and colored with alcohol ink markers. And it did something. I wouldn't say, I don't know if it lightened. Yeah, I guess it technically lightened a little bit. And I did a little blend here into a light blue color. So I guess it lightened a little bit, but not a lot. This is some more alcohol Copic ink right here. This here is some alcohol ink that I just dropped on there. I wrote India ink here. I used my Faber-Castell big brush in black to write it to see what was going to happen. And then I did this little dot. I don't know why. I just did it. This is not the best experiment, but it's got my creative juices flowing. Now I know that I can stamp on fabric. I should have tried a sentiment. I have to put some more thought into this test, but now I know that it can be done. I'm doing this because in my mind, I've always wanted a Diane Reevely quilt. And because she hasn't come out with fabric just yet, I've got to figure it out. Boy, I wish she would come out with fabric. I was hoping that at CHA, it was going to be this big reveal of all this fabric. And it doesn't look like that's what's going to happen. So, okay. Maybe one day. And, you know, I'm all into quilting right now. And so I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to do my own quilt blocks. But I've got to figure out how to bring her techniques into the block. I haven't figured it out yet, but this is a start. So, again, this is the Color Box crafters for fabric, wood, and more. And it's weird. It's not pigment-y. It's a weird consistency. Something new. Trying it. So thanks for checking in with me. More to come.